I love Donkey Kong Country. I always have, ever since I was a little kid. I have incredibly fond memories of playing through the original series with my family. We've seen it transform over the last 20 years, from an ahead-of-its-time platformer to a 3D adventure, dipping its toes in spin-off games to its eventual return under a new helm of Retro Studios. When they announced DKC Returns at E3 2010, I remember jumping out of my chair and screaming I was so excited. Both Returns and Tropical Freeze were an incredible reincarnation for the series, and while they did some things better than the originals and some things not quite as well, it caused me to start thinking about the future. Whether we'll see Retro complete their own trilogy or a different dev team take the lead, there are many things I'd like to see in a new Donkey Kong title. I've gathered 4 of my friends and some of the biggest DK fans I know to talk about 5 areas that we'd like to see improvements in future installments, or maybe some brand new things altogether. So, welcome to the 5. Let's brainstorm ideas for the perfect future Donkey Kong game.
The personality and the aesthetic of Rare's Donkey Kong Country games is without a doubt one of the primary contributors to why they are held in such high regard. And while the style that the, at the time, unorthodox method with which the developer created the faux three-dimensional sprites is what many remember about the games, equally important was the toy box art direction that Rare would become known for. The world they created for Donkey Kong was bright, colorful, and endearing, and they populated it with enemies that had real character. For almost a decade there, King K. Rool and his KREMLINGs were as much a part of what made Donkey Kong as Donkey Kong was. For some gamers who discovered the series through the Super Nintendo, myself included, they were as connected to the Kong as Bowser and his army of mushrooms and turtles were to Mario. The Donkey Kong Country series has returned in the capable hands of the developers at Retro Studios, but unfortunately the KREMLINGs did not return with it. And I understand the reasoning behind this. To Retro's staff, the KREMLINGs were Rareware's creation, and for a new team and a new developer, being constrained to the ideas another studio created decades ago could be disheartening. It's only reasonable to want full creative control over a world lest you risk retracking well-treaded earth or burning yourself out creatively. But man, I'd still love the KREMLINGs to make a comeback. The Donkey Kong Country franchise has firmly planted its flag back into the modern gaming space. Maybe it's time for the KREMLINGs to come and stake their claim, too.
Damn, do I love Donkey Kong Country. Whether it's the original trilogy or Retro's revival titles, I think there's something here for everybody. Having grown up with the first game in the series, as well as becoming especially fond of its sequels in later years, I was no slouch when it came to determining the quality of Returns and Tropical Freeze. These games are absolute masterpieces of mechanics and level design. However, in an attempt to carve their own niche into the series, Retro seemed to forget some of the features that made the original trilogy so special. One of these is obviously the lack of KREMLINGs, which I can forgive despite how much it pains me, while the other is a bit more puzzling. While not absolutely essential to the formula, the lack of animal buddies in the Retro titles is such a missed opportunity. Rambi is certainly here, and his levels are great, which makes me wonder why more have yet to be included. I get the feeling that Retro didn't want to include more animal buddies because they'd rather incorporate those abilities into the companion Kongs, like how most of Enguarde's abilities were given to DK and his friends, and how Cranky's abilities are a bit similar to Ratley's. But I think there's still room for so much more. I'm obsessed with the idea of bringing Espresso back, perhaps as a means of extending the skill ceiling in DKC, particularly for speedrunning. And a playable Squawk similar to his role in DKC 2 is a no-brainer. For that matter, I think it'd be nice to see more levels dedicated exclusively to animal buddies, even those that may seem unnecessary at first, like Enguarde and Ratley. These could be used to push series mechanics beyond what the companion Kongs can do, to their absolute limits, kind of like Animal Antics in DKC 2. I'd also love to see what Retro can do as far as brand new animal buddies. The inclusion of the Snowmads in Tropical Freeze showed that nothing is off the table, and those enemies were so charming that I think Retro really has it in them to create some solid animal companions. While they may not be the most essential addition to this franchise, I think it'd be such a shame for Retro to not go all out with a potential cap to their trilogy of DKC titles. So let's see what you got, Retro. Oh, and also Ratley's the best animal buddy, so you can fight me if you think otherwise. Sorry, pal. If there's one thing the Donkey Kong series has always gotten right, it's secrets. I've talked at length about how DKC2 gets bonuses right by giving you tangible rewards that unlock new and more challenging portions of the game, and Retro Studios has done a pretty good job at keeping this tradition alive. By collecting all the Kong letters of an area, it opens difficult temple stages that put your skills to the test. I love that you don't get any DK barrels in these stages, so if you lose your buddy, you have to learn how to beat them with Donkey Kong alone, which ends up making you a better player overall since you can't rely on power-ups to succeed. That's some good game design right there. And of course, if you beat all these temple stages, it unlocks this final crazy level as your reward. I think this is great, and it's refreshing to see the Kong letters used for something other than just getting extra lives, but I do have a slight problem with the regular bonus rooms Retro has incorporated. They're very reminiscent of DKC1's bonus rooms. Simple little banana collectibles that end up repeating too often and don't have much variation. The reward is a puzzle piece, which unlocks concept art and other extra stuff, which is all fine and dandy, but the rooms themselves lack the diversity I'd like to see in a future title. If you look at DKC2 and 3, while they only have a few different types of bonus rooms, every single one is still completely different from the last. A simple collect the stars minigame could be set high in the sky of a ship's mast, or on a dangerous roller coaster ride. Find the token could be a maze, an obstacle course, or a choose the right chest sort of thing, and it never felt stale. Nowadays, I feel like we could have even more variety in bonus rooms, some we've never even seen before. Anything that's more than the samey, redundant banana collectathons of the last few games. If they could keep the mystery of hidden levels, but combine them with ingenuitive bonus rooms, that would be all I could ask for in the next Donkey Kong adventure.
Yo, there is no man like Snowman, and no game series quite like Donkey Kong Country. And you know what? I totally agree with the rest of the crew. It's about time that King K. Rool and the KREMLINGs come back in a brand new, retro-made Donkey Kong Country in what might just become the greatest platforming trilogy since, well, since the first one. I want it, you want it, the crew wants it, the fans want it. Well, except maybe this kid. Maybe he doesn't want it. All we need is DK, King K. Rool, and a new theme. And this time, I think the game should take place in the Wild West. So, each new Donkey Kong game typically has a new theme and multitude of new locations to adventure through. We've gone from jungles, canopies, caves, to pirate ships, giant beehives, theme parks, and most recently, a Viking invasion. So imagine after laying low for 17 years, K. Rool finally returns to finish what he started in one final epic showdown, Western style. K. Rool is back, and with his new gang of baddies, he's traveling around world to world, pulling off the ultimate heist with DK hot in pursuit. Chasing down the bad guys, DK and crew find themselves tackling these new environments. Remember the shadow puppet-esque levels in Donkey Kong Country Returns? Well, imagine monkey rolling across a wasteland against a setting desert sun. Imagine barrel blasting across vast canyons, platforming up mountain ranges, discovering a hidden oasis. You like bramble levels? Giant bramble tumbleweed. Dust Devils could make a return. And perhaps best of all, just imagine the minecart levels. You could build an entire world around platforming with minecarts, end cars, chasing trains, and even more. Until, at the very end of the game, you finally catch up with King K. Rool for one epic showdown. And perhaps most important of all, when you 100% the game and get all of the collectibles, you unlock Deputy DK in his cowboy hat. I want it so bad.
3D platformers are known for, and are ideally built around, the inspiration of exploration. From the moment the player first wanders through the entrance of a huge new level to explore and complete, to the ever-so-slight tease of a sought-after collectible presented to our eyes but withheld from our item counters, games like Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie, and Donkey Kong 64 aren't shy about goading you into completionism. Every step of the way, games like these try to hint at the true expanse of the world they've offered us players, but they're still super cool about letting us off easy. Just get 70 stars, and you can still fight Bowser. I know, the clock level is really hard, and we don't really explain how the hands of the clock works. It's cool, it's cool. Scale, scope, and option are the bread and butter of a 3D platformer when you really get down to it, and Donkey Kong 64 in particular is my go-to example for this. There was so much to do in this game. The levels are huge, far-reaching, and versatile. Each of the Kongs had their own special abilities and ways of exploring the environments around us. The prospect of a new 3D platformer with the DK crew is high up on my gaming wish list, and I not only hope that whoever tries to make one next will offer the same care and attention to the format, I just hope that somebody will try it next. I have no doubt in my mind that any developer Nintendo sees fit to take on a Donkey Kong title like this will be dedicated enough to properly fill the expansive new worlds we've come to expect from our major label games. The biggest thing any designer will need to remember when making a 3D platformer with this kind of scale is how we move within them, and I'm not just talking about teleport pads or straight up flying over top of stuff. 3D platformers are about movement and mastering maneuvers to make you feel like you not only know these levels like the back of your hand, you might as well live here. And the characters in Donkey Kong are basically built for this stuff. They are monkeys and gorillas, climbing, swimming, rolling, jumping. This stuff shouldn't just be on the table when designing a future Donkey Kong 3D platformer. It needs to be the starting point for a game like this. Future titles like A Hat in Time, Mario Odyssey, and the recently released Yooka-Laylee have shown us that 3D platformers are still exciting to many gamers, and I can only hope that Donkey, Diddy, and the gang can find themselves platforming in the third dimension as well before too long.
As far as mainline DKC games have gone, they're all pretty good. I've been pleasantly surprised at every entry and how they've taken risks and put together an enjoyable adventure at every turn. Retro Studios has done the series proud, and I'd love to see them tackle one last game in the future. But no matter what form it takes, if some of these thoughts are incorporated, I think it could make for a DK experience unlike any other, especially with today's tools and technology. What are some things you'd like to see return to the DKC franchise? Do you agree with our thoughts, or would you like to see something completely different that we haven't seen before? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching Donkey Kong Month this year. It's been a wild ride. I'll see you guys next time. Stay frosty, my friends. Hey, Snowman here. Huge thanks to my guests in today's video. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing for more analytical content or sharing this video with a buddy. Be sure to follow me on Twitter for updates on future projects, and if you ever want to support the channel, you could do that through Patreon. See ya!